All right, hello everyone. It's Mystic Juicer back with some more Yomi action. We've got some more 19XX action. This is me versus CKR, the last international Yomi League champ. And so I can't play Troc, so I'm gonna play Rook. I was expecting, I think, either Setsuki or Onimaru. I guess we both kind of expected Onimaru from each other. So I would ordinarily expect Zane, but again, it's a banned format, so Zane, DeGray, Geiger, and Troc are all banned. So they are the most popular and also some of the strongest characters in the game. So we're playing something different here. So right off the bat, I'm starting off with 3 aces in hand, which is pretty nifty. Definitely pretty handy. So Rook is a character I have a lot of feelings about. The difficulty that he has is you have no dodges, so you can only really hit with Checkmate Buster if they completely respect either your Wall of Vines and think you don't have Checkmate Buster, or they're dealing with some kind of mix up between like a checkmate through rock armor, which is that they can't somehow get around, and therefore have to block or dodge, or they're expecting you to play defensive and go for a throw. So starting off with a lot of hidden aces is very, very helpful in landing Checkmate Buster, because it means that you can power up for 1 ace and then realistically go for CMB right then and there. The other thing I like about Rook in this matchup is that you can actually kind of, if Setsuki maneuvers herself into a spot where she's on 3 cards specifically, and ordinarily she's going to either want to dodge her way out of that situation or throw her way out of that situation. You can play throws, and there's no opportunity for Setsuki to then be able to discard cards out of her hand in order to get out of that situation. So she actually does have to press the attack button every once in a while. So you can play the block button and or get into a good position to do rock armor stuff. So I don't hate this particular matchup. It's a matchup that I don't love, but out of all of my other options, I don't really have an anti-Setsuki pick in this format, so figured I would go with Rook. See what I can make happen. So we've done the first important thing in this matchup, which is get ourselves to a spot where we've got a high hand size. Unfortunately, not really a hand where... rock armor is an option. It wouldn't have worked in this instance. But we don't have a tremendous amount of good stuff to play into it. So we could play like the 10 and then discard some clubs and then jack into 8 for 22. But then we're at a low hand size again, and our opponent's still at 30-something health. We can theoretically then, land Wall of Vines and get something going that way. We've got 2 queens in the discard, so Wall of Vines becomes that much more tempting and useful. Got basically even block, odd block, or throw from this position, so I'm going to go for the throw and see what I can get. Unfortunately, goes for the absolutely safe play of Gold Burst. Another reason I really dislike playing this character. Because it's very rough playing. I think he's one of the only characters in the game that can be completely Your opponent can play a Gold Burst at any stage of the game and be guaranteed to, at worst, take no damage and suffer no repercussions. They just happen to not get 2 free aces if you play correctly. So not ideal by any means. I'm gonna try to get in here with Rock Armor Opener probably. Although at this point, we don't even have the tools to be able to make that happen. So we do at least successfully block. But again, no rock armor opportunity here. We could rock armor into 4 additional damage. So much rather try to bamboozle CKR here with Checkmate Buster. So we're going to take a few seconds to pause and then see what we can do. So if we take this, we do have lethal off of 10 or throw. So then we're in a spot where we can theoretically finish it off with rock armor or finish it off with a throw. Even though we have very bad throws in hand at the moment, the threat of rock armor should get us a lot of leeway. Unfortunately, he goes for, I'd rather take 20 here. Which again, no other grappler character has to suffer that kind of decision making. You're just allowed to like, oh, okay, well, as soon as I have my super online, you better hope I don't have to dodge. But Rook doesn't get to play those games. So instead, we're now in a very, very rough situation. We've lost all of our aces. We are at a significant life deficit, so we can no longer leverage a life advantage into rock armor plays. And oh, that's right. No, he used 2 of the aces previously. I thought that was game. But it is essentially game here. We can throw him 6 times in a row. That'll work. If he gets cheeky, we can rock armor. We can, land a 10 into something, which potentially gets us some benefit. So now he's at a low hand size, but again, he just needs to find 12 damage. So throw into 6, pretty much anything into anything is going to kill us here. So we've just got to be correct with our blocks and also go in order to force defense against throws on his part. Yeah, there's the second gold burst. Now we've got to deal with the potential ace and throw mix-up. Joker does a little bit for us here. We essentially get a completely safe turn if we want to take it. As the only thing that we would lose to if he decided to play an attack and we have Joker as blue burst would be if he went with ace-ace, which is fairly unlikely with against Rook, because again, he does have special blocks. You don't want to potentially put yourself in a difficult spot. It is still potentially a losable game here, although it is very unlikely. Yeah, might as well play the damage while we can. Probably better to play the Queen of Spades there, because we do have 2 clubs. Although again, unless we draw exactly another Joker, even then, our rock armor is not going to be online. So queen, queen, 7 on top. So pretty similar decision making that we've had to be doing all the rest of this game anyway. Do we block or do we defend ourselves from a throw? I think I end up going in with a queen here. Yeah. So we at least don't die to a 10 throw, which is nice. Yeah, no sense really going in, because even if we go in, he's at 17. That puts him out of range of everything that we could realistically throw at him. And all of our aces are in the discard, so there's no threat of AA. Okay, successfully block. Take 3 chip though, so can't take too much more of that. Really need the aces to be able to take that kind of damage. If I had a special block here, I would probably play it, because it's very likely that CKR, if he thinks that I don't have a special block, he's just going to play single ace over and over again, deals 3 chip. So he only needs to play that twice more, and there's very few things. There's actually nothing that I can play that I could conceivably draw ever that would beat that range. Yeah, that's going to do it. So unless he respects this additional face down. But yeah, very unlikely. Okay, so that is game 1. Health totals end up being much closer than it may have seemed, but I don't know. It didn't feel like he was ever out of control in that matchup. I can't remember what I ended up going with here. I have played some Arg versus Setsuki, but I think I end up going to Midori. This is not a matchup that I've played all that much. It's not a matchup I particularly like, but again, it's because I haven't played it very much, so I'm not super comfortable with it. The nice thing, what are the good things about this matchup over the matchup with Rook? Well, in this matchup, we have a lot more burst. We have strong damage off of attacks that beat dodges, all of which is very nice to have against Setsuki. So if we play Dragon Queen, the only attack we lose to is Setsuki's Queen, and the only way he can beat it is by blocking or gold bursting. So it does allow you some room to breathe. The things I don't like about this matchup is if the Setsuki player just throws you a bunch in the early game, and you're trying to build up a hand. Like, Midori is basically as card hungry as Rook, I feel like. So you can get yourself into a spot where you just want to block and sit back. And in the early game, you don't have the ability, Trock's ability to pressure your opponent into playing defensively, because all of your big stuff, like your Dragon Queen, basically just your Dragon Queen, is really card intensive, right? If you're not in Dragon form, you have to play Queen and a 10, and then have something else to follow it up with, or else it's not really worth playing. And so, being Midori, having to throw defensively rather than offensively like you would with Trock is not a gameplay style I particularly like. I would much rather be the bully in Yomi than have to play fair. So we've got a hell of a hand. Like, we've got bomb after bomb after bomb. It's just a matter of will he allow us to get in with some throws or get some blocks off. So we do have kind of a similar ability to lock Setsuki into her hand size with Dragon King, because it is a can't combo throw and deals a good amount of damage. 12 damage to Setsuki is not insignificant. Nice, successfully block that. Got another Dragon Queen. We're still looking for 2s as activators. We're looking for 10s as activators for this hand. And then if we ever connect with a Queen, we can go into Jack Jack just for massive, massive damage. We played that 7 very early because if we connected that, we could go 7, 8, Jack Jack, and that's basically 100% of Setsuki's hit points. And luckily, CKR is playing very attack heavy, not going in with throws. My god, this hand. If we can ever capitalize off this, it's going to be like we have 150% of Setsuki's total hit points worth of damage in our hand. Yeah. Still trying to catch him throwing, and he's really not looking for that. Luckily, he's not able to convert out of that, so we know there's no jacks probably, or there's nothing valuable for him to play the jack into. I would say he probably has 2 throws in hand. That's a very nice combat win for us. Good amount of damage. So Midori's double ace attack is just slightly worse than Rook's. It does lose to Setsuki's single A, whereas Rook's is not. But yeah, you know, on the whole, it does the job just fine. And at this point, we're just checking some queens because they're 10 damage a pop. And we've nearly got lethal just off queen. See if we can catch him doing something silly. Nope, goes back to attacks. I'm going to wait until he has a bit of a larger hand size or a more developed, potentially, hand. See if he powers up for some aces. See if I can get some more value off the Joker. Given that he's been kind of trapped in a bad hand, I don't want to spend the Joker as a blue burst unnecessarily. This might be a spot for it, yeah. Because it's very likely he's going to be able to combo out of his hand with this, so might as well get some free damage. See if we can find some 2s or 10s, I guess. Okay. Good call on his part. Still, he is potentially still stuck on kind of an awkward hand at this moment. Okay, yeah, contemplating whether I want to power up the 8s. just face cards. Just face cards and aces. Like, we've drawn, like, I feel like 5 or 6 non-face or ace cards. Which is pretty cool. Pretty good strat to have. Okay, gets a block off. Trying to get out of a potentially awkward hand. Just by building up so that he can convert some of them to aces. But so far this game has gone rather well. We've been able to get enough blocks in order to get the cards we need. Our deck has been very nice to us, so we've got a whole bunch of bombs in our hands that we can convert into damage. And just in general, things are looking pretty good. See if we can dodge into lethal or just play queen. Yeah. So I think generally, I think the throw there from CKR makes a lot of sense. It's a pretty good read on my character. I do like to once I've got a significant life lead like that, you know, why risk anything? So just play dodges. Yeah, so I just figured I'd just throw the queen out there. I've got more than enough firepower to recover if it doesn't land. I've got 2 dodges, so we'll see how things go. All right, so we've got Midori versus BBB, and CKR saying he's not very experienced in the matchup. So that can be good or bad. Yeah. It can be good or bad for us. It's weird because it's like oh, if you don't know the matchup, you can play like randomly, right? And sometimes like if you hear that and you're not an experienced Yomi player, you might be thinking, oh, okay, but wait, like you said in some of your earlier videos and like getting good at Yomi and stuff, you're always like, well, if you play randomly, that's actually really weak and you're gonna lose a lot. You know, you should not be playing randomly. But that's different. There's like new player random where you just don't know what's good or what's bad. And then there's like experienced player in an unexpected matchup random where it's like some of the details of like what might be particular, like they have good fundamentals, right? Like they're gonna block, they know how to play against your character. Like CKR knows how to play against Midori. He knows how Midori likes to act, but he doesn't know like the particular. He's not as familiar maybe with the rhythm of this particular matchup. So what that translates into fundamentally is that he's going to potentially play really disrespectfully in a way that's difficult to anticipate, and then play really respectfully in a way that's difficult to anticipate, where I would like expect somebody who has played this particular matchup from the BBB side like a lot to play in a certain way. He may just not. He may go for something very different. Okay, so far he's playing very respectfully of queen. We've got 3 aces in hand very early, and we have another joker. So I'm not terrified of going to range. We do have dodges to get around this. I don't want a final Dragon Buster until I have 4 aces, really, because each of those additional aces past the first 2 is 16 damage each. So it's like you do double ace for 20, and then every ace you tack on is essentially another 20 damage. So I would much rather deal 52 than 36 in this matchup. Closing, like dealing a huge amount of burst damage is super, super helpful. It's what keeps this matchup as close as it is. Like I think it's probably still maybe BBB advantaged, but it's not by as much as I initially thought. Okay, so we're going to go in with 36. It at least takes him down to half health. We still have the Joker to be able to recover slightly after this. And being able to cash in a whole bunch of silent aces early is not to be underestimated. Midori is very susceptible to blue burst off of his off of his super. So you can essentially play very safely against Midori, even by blocking, right? Like he has so much firepower behind his queen where you can go like queen into 8 for 22. That's really significant. Or queen into jack for, God, 30. You know, it's huge off of a reversal option, right? Faster than 1.0 speed. So All of that is pretty powerful. So you do want to be blocking against Midori a good amount of the time when he's in dragon form. So making his ace a pump move ensures that if you have a Joker, you can at least you can still block and protect yourself from these huge attacks, right? These front-loaded attacks. But you can hedge against getting hit by Final Dragon Buster, where it's like, okay, I take 20, but at least I prevent the additional 32 damage if you do have all 4 aces. I believe I'm blocking here. I wasn't paying too much attention. Yeah. I was hoping, again, with this hand, I can Joker kind of when I want. I've already spent one, so it's very unlikely that I would have another one in hand at this point. So I should be able to get out of range relatively quickly. Here's actually a fairly good spot to do it. The only risk with gold bursting here is if he does decide to dodge. And dodging here is fairly low risk, right? If he dodges and I end up blocking, then he loses a dodge. I stand up. I'm still at 5 cards. I'm still at low hand. So there's not like an overwhelming force pushing him to go in right now. So we'll hedge a little bit, just hoping to find, another secret king. Yeah. Okay, never mind. All right, so that I still think playing the 4 there, even at knowing I was at range, is perfectly fine. Hedging against Secret King is fine. If it gets dodged, I'm not as mad as if the Joker gets dodged. And this is kind of the thing that I'm talking about. Like, I don't see why you would play a block here ever, right? Like, dodge, sure. Totally fine. Block, I'm very confused about. Midori is so low hand right now. He wants to be blocking and he wants to be poking. But there's no like, if you think Midori's poking, just play any attack. It's 1.0 speed, right? The only thing that he can beat that with, beat a normal with, is by playing the queen and spinning it. So there's no realistically good way for me to play out of that situation unless he decides to block. So yeah, that particular sequence I think is, so that's one of the benefits of playing somebody who hasn't played the particular matchup as much. But there are other downsides, right? If I had decided, like if I had gone, oh, well, obviously you go in here as BBB, there's no reason that you wouldn't, and gold bursted, then that's like inexperience in the matchup that ends up really paying off for him. Okay, so he hits me with a throw off of his overdrive. I'm not too mad about that. Probably indicates he does not have any kings. He's very likely to have 2 aces here. We still need to find 27 damage. So we can't quite queen into jack. His double ace beats our dragon queen anyway. So we do have to do some blocking or dodging here. I would much rather be blocking. I don't want to be dodging into that queen, especially with a 10. I want to be spending the 10 to spin the queen around. And 35 hit points is relatively good. Again, we have Joker as either range or big combo. As gold burst to get out of range or blue burst to get out of a big combo. So he's giving me a lot of respect here. Probably more respect than I actually deserve. But I'm starting to build up a hand as a result, so I'm not too mad about that. Okay, we'll give it the spin, see if we can find some additional damage here. Okay, so yeah, bold of him to just put a random card there, but very smart. Now he's out of range of our king throw. The only thing that kills here is 8 into jack, which is oh, okay, no, sorry. We could also throw into jack, but again, if he does have a joker, then he does have ways out. We could gold burst here, but I am a little bit scared of... I'd rather keep that as insurance than anything else. Just playing the jack might have been fine. Okay, yeah, sure. I don't mind throwing the king throw out there. It's not going to do much for us. Again, he's at 13 hit points. So unless we come out of range, so we can play the king throw, and then spin it, like win combat with it and then spin it, we're not going to be doing too much with that. Now we've got kind of a tricky situation. Overdrive here, you know, he could hit us, he could dodge into queen for 16, or he could just play the queen and only our queen is faster than it. So gold burst again is scary. Queen is maybe potentially the better play. Queen or block. Okay, so we get tossed with the king. Get put to 11. I think that is his third overdrive though, so it's very unlikely that he's going to hit us with that again. If we play the queen here, we are safe, I think, from everything except single ace. I think single ace is also 1.2 speed. I'm not positive. It might be 1.4. Okay, there we go. Finally get the joker. A double ace. He immediately goes and threatens double ace, so he's got the dominant speed. And we do not draw block, so we have a couple of choices here. That's basically king or ace ace. He may think that we have the tens we need, so he may not attack. And he only loses to normal throw. But yeah, potentially scary situation here. Very low likelihood that we come out of this alive. Again, I can't remember how fast his single A is. Goes for the 10 throw. Yeah, expecting us to dodge. So we close it out with a lucky play there. Yeah, ace-ace was the only thing we could play that actually got lethal if it won combat, so decided to win or lose it right there. And CKR switches out of BBB. We go back to Setsuki versus Midori, which I'm very happy about. That was fairly close. I think if he had stuck with that, he probably would have figured out my rhythm eventually, and that would have been a dangerous spot. So definitely feel like I had a much better time of Midori versus Setsuki against CKR. So hopefully that'll work out for us. So the one thing I've noticed is he doesn't tend to throw early, at least in the 2 games of this that we've played. Even against Rook, he did not throw a ton early. Which is great. I love playing against, block attack ranges with grapplers. Much rather do that than play against attack throw ranges. especially off of rushdown characters like Setsuki. Very, very scary to block or play slow attacks, which is basically all you have as Midori, or throw. Okay, block the queen. Good stuff for us. More of those in the discard, the happier I am. The higher our hand size, the happier I am. Got 4, 5, 6. We could do 5, 6 Jack Jack here. We could do throw into Jack Jack. And that is what we will do. Do a third of Setsuki's hit points in a single combat. Feels good. Still a very high hand size. No reason to play the 2 yet. We don't have anything really to play. We'd just be playing blocks as soon as we played the king. Or we could dodge into normal throws. And none of that is appealing to me. So we'll just sit back, bunker up, try to get some more damage in our hand. We could get aces here, but I'd rather find one more ace and then start playing for Final Dragon Buster lethal. Okay. Okay, yeah, just baiting the 10s. Yeah, pulling the 10s out of his hand, reducing his hand size. I mean, reducing his hand size is also good for Setsuki because it's easier for her to dump, makes her more unpredictable. But meh. He may at this point be thinking that, okay, we went into dragon form fairly early and we must have a pretty dominant hand. Lots of queens, no doubt. So yeah, unfortunately, I was hoping he didn't have a queen and would risk playing a block. But it looks like he will probably get out here. Yeah, and the knockdown. Still, we've got a fairly good life total at the moment. Yeah, maybe power up just the 5s. Get ace-ace online at least. Discourage cross-up attempts. So the ideal here would be to be able to get a queen in hand. Because then our decision making is fairly easy. If we think he's queening, we play a block, and if we don't think he's playing a queen this turn, then we throw a queen of our own at him. Not sure how accurate that is. Okay, instead of the 9. Yeah, okay, that's fair. Yeah, picking up the 10 instead of the 9 would have been better. Okay, we think he's playing a queen. Nope, cross up 4. He does leave him with a queen in hand. Nope. Okay, yeah, it does leave him with a queen in hand. It does get a nice amount of damage in there too. 21 damage and knockdown is pretty sweet. Gets him another speed of the fox. Like, life totals are equalized. I think I would prefer to block with the 8. Just in case we lose it. I'd like to be able to power up for another ace. He is starting to get very close to just 3 ace lethal range. Okay, so we're just looking to dodge into ace-ace maybe? It's not a... Okay, double joker is very nice. It's going to let us take a lot more risks and just generally make our play a little bit more safe. We can go for king throw here, for example. Yeah, so I haven't been doing a ton to discourage a really attack-heavy range, so figure I'd start dodging, making that happen maybe. Let's see. Is it smart to have done that over tossing a king in there? I think I'm not too mad at it. Drawing the additional 6 definitely makes it the better choice because we can just refuel with aces. We still have 2 jokers, so it's not like we're locked into this hand. And playing ace-ace in neutral isn't guaranteed either, so yeah, I think that's fine. At this stage of the game, we're really looking for queens. I'm hoping that he thinks we have one so that we can get away with this. And usually you don't rotate the kings, but putting your opponent to, so it would have been what? The difference between 26, yeah, 26, so 9 or 14. I guess normal throw would have been lethal either way, but this way we can dodge into the other king for lethal. I mean, it doesn't work, but it's worth a shot. Still in a very good place here. Yeah, playing against single ace here is not too scary. Yeah, and I'm pulling out of the deck because I don't want to draw. If we have 2 aces in hand and we draw an ace, that's a dead draw. I would much rather have the queen that we found. And yeah, right now, with him having powered up for a single ace, we can just sit back and block. If he ever throws us, we can toss the joker in to get rid of that larger ace burst damage. But until that happens, we can just sit back and block, try to find a 10, try to find a 2, just generally get him to waste some value, build up our hand, and really close out this set, or close out this game, I should say. Any given turn, we can decide to go in with a throw. So he does have to consider that in his decision making. He's got to be pushing a fair amount of attacks. So we can, toss out ace-ace. We can toss out a queen every once in a while. We can just do pretty much anything we want at this stage of the game. All right, there. We finally find a queen. There's no real reason to power up. We'll just toss out a 6. Get rewarded with a 4 of a kind, which is always nice. In case the next couple of combats don't end it, we can close things out with AA spam. All right. There we go. All right, so 3-1. Things are working out so far. See if he decides to stick in the matchup or go back to BBB maybe, or switch to something completely different. No, sticking to Setsuki. I think that's fine. Setsuki is one of the best come back from behind characters in the game. There are so few characters that put her in a difficult spot or that she can't just randomly win against. So yeah, definitely a character I've also picked when behind, because hey, sometimes you just win all your combats and then your opponent's dead and then they're dead and you win. So pretty good strat if you can make it happen. So we kind of got an awkward hand here. See if we can get ace-ace online. No, decides to block. Very good block on his part. Leaves us in a very weakened hand. We do have the joker, so we're not out of the game. I would love to draw a non-2 block here. Probably gonna 5 throw because yeah, because power up for a single ace and then throw your opponent is the classic Setsuki play. going into dragon form is just so risky here. Like, there's so little upside compared to just playing the cards we have, or blocking with the 2, or playing the gold burst here. Yeah, so I'm hoping he would get really nervous there and push a button. Or decide that, hey, you know, Midori's got me knocked down. He's probably expecting me to wake up with an attack to prevent some kind of random Midori combo or throw loops. So I'll wake up with a throw, catch his block, and then happily we are able to refuel, get ourselves a nice little hand. Get a successful block off the 2. Losing that combat, if he had thrown again that turn, I think we would have been in a very difficult spot, especially with that additional draw, right? He basically pushes any button and we explode unless we counter throw his throw. So what's the play here? We could just throw with the 4. We could attack with the 4 or the 5 to try to combo into Wrath of Earth. We could dodge into Wrath of Earth. I didn't want to risk the 2 again, just in case he threw again, which is why the dodge. Yeah, don't want to play the aces because he knows I have them, so I'd rather keep the 20 damage in hand and just see if I can get 12. Now that we have a block, now I can go in. We can play dragon form, we can see if he counters it. Go for immediate throw. He goes for the throw, expecting us to be respectful of queen. Makes a lot of sense, but I think he would have played queen earlier if he had it, so that's why I'm not really playing around it. So I was hoping he would be more respectful of queen than I would be. Yeah, now he's turtling up. But we've got plenty. We've still got another queen left over. We can just play queen a bunch. We can block a couple of times. We draw into another queen, so you know our greed is completely rewarded. Goes in with king, expecting perhaps another king throw. Find 19 damage. Attacking on the 5 isn't strictly necessary there, but it does leave now he has to respect normal throw. Whereas ordinarily you'd be like, oh, okay, if he doesn't have king throw, he's probably not going to end dragon form. And because we drew 3 queens, we could play 3 queens in a row. Very good strategic play there on our part. Yeah, so GG's CKR. I think he played very well. I think he played less aggressively than I expected him to, or Setsuki's generally to, and luckily was able to. My fearful range happened to match up really nicely to his range. All right. So until next time, enjoy yourselves some Yomi, and I will be back with some more matches just as soon as I can. All right, cheers.